Here's my guide of animating an action animation with a prop, such as a sword or any kind of other weapons that you can think of, or maybe just an object in general. So here we go. So first things first, you need a reference for your animation. You can just do it based on your own imagination, how you visualize the action in your head, but you will still need some kind of guide on how you want to animate your movements or actions. So you'll need to find some references online on video websites like YouTube or TikTok, or maybe you can act it out yourself as you're animating it, or you can actually record yourself doing the action, but only if it's safe for you to do it. So the next step is keyframing all the important key poses that you want to showcase or highlight in your animation. Once you do that, please do it with a step tangent as well. So step tangent means that it only shows the keyframes and no movement or transition in between those keyframes, so that you can just focus on the poses for the moment just to see if it's okay or not. The next step will be timing and anticipation, where you move the keyframes that you have made on the timeline around and shift them around to add some variety to the speed of the movement and the animation overall. So some movements obviously need to be much faster, and some obviously need to be a bit more slow. And some of the poses need to have some pauses as well. So these pauses usually add on to the anticipation part of your animation. Anticipation is important because it gives some sort of break for the audience so that they're not too overwhelmed with continuous movement on the screen. So you need to have a little break in between to give them more breathing room. After you've done the timing and anticipation, you can move on to refining the main body animation. So this is when you apply some kind of movement to certain parts like the idle pauses, like the anticipation part. You can use spline tangent because spline tangent is very useful when you want to apply movement to between two same keyframes. And you can also apply follow through and overlapping action with certain body parts where they move at a different speed or different timing compared to the main body action. As well as applying the parenting. So parenting is where we can attach the object to the hand or any body part that is interacting with the object. Okay, so we have to use parent constraint for this part. Now after you've done refining the main body animation, you can move on to animating the fingers for the character. For me personally, I like to leave it at the later stage of the animation because it's much more tedious, as you have to work with many different kind of joints and controls for the fingers, and you also need to make sure that the finger interacts with the object or even the body parts, and making sure they don't penetrate or have any weird movements as well. So usually this tedious part, I like to leave it at a later stage of the animation. So after you've done the fingers, maybe you want to do some facial expressions. So you can animate some facial expressions. Make sure the eyes, which is the pupil and the iris, can lead the movement. So let's say the character is turning their head to the left. So maybe you can make the eye look to the left first, followed by the actual head rotating to the left. So that is one way to make sure the eyes lead the movement. You can also add some blinking, because without blinking, your character is going to look like a doll or not alive. And you can also apply a little bit of squash and stretch with the facial expression as well. You can squash the face when the body is going down or in a squash position, or you can stretch the face when the body is like in a very fast movement. So you can do a lot with facial expressions to add on to the animation. And lastly is just extra stuff, such as any secondary or follow-through overlapping action with some extra elements, such as hair or clothes, to make the animation more alive. Now you can actually do simulation or dynamics, but if the character has a rig that lets you control the hair, you can try to practice animating the hair manually and adding some follow-through and overlapping using just keyframing method and not relying on simulation or dynamics. So that is basically my process of animating an action animation with interaction with an object. So this is my personal way. You might have your own way to do it. Maybe you don't have to follow mine, but if you're new to animating and you are a bit lost or not knowledgeable enough to approach how to animate it, so you can try to follow my guide step by step and see where it takes you. So maybe you can do your own style as you are doing and practicing it. Okay, so good luck and have fun animating.